Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting, and welcome to Red Valkyrie Presents. I'm, of course, Shade the Red. I don't want to hear anybody talk shit about my accent right now. Leave me alone. It'll make sense in a minute.
Impediment, babe.
Fuck you, Sai. Why? Why the instant? I hate you so much. Okay, how are you, Sai? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just took my mom to get a couple $100 worth of pot. So yeah.
Good for her. Good for her.
I wish I left my door open for my stream, for my office.
Get a little hot box.
Yeah, little bit of secondhand, but no, I'm gonna save that till afterwards once my DiGiorno is in the oven. How are you doing, Shay?
I'm doing okay. We'll see. We'll see when I start emphatically talking how well this cosplay holds up, because that might be a thing.
I'm just waiting. Just waiting. You know what? I wish we were together this week instead of next week, so that I could feed you a slice of DiGiorno in this cosplay.
I would not be able to chew. That is not going to be a thing.
We're gonna film you trying to eat it in this cosplay. That's all I'm saying.
It would have to be like lukewarm. Otherwise, I'm just going to get like hot marinara sauce everywhere, and it's going to be horrible.
It's pizza sauce, not marinara.
Whatever, it's the same thing.
I'm revoking your Italian card. That's it.
Oh, good. I'm not Italian. So
I know you're not Italian. You're not the slightest bit Italian.
Not even remotely Italian.
Shut up, just because you're a big bitch.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome to AC Pritchard. It is wonderful to have you here, Andy. How are you?
I'm doing good. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys for
finally out of traffic.
Yeah. It's driving through Minneapolis has been pretty crazy.
Minnesota.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I'm sorry. That was a rude response, but also ew.
Yeah, like extreme highs, extreme lows over here in Minnesota.
Dude, I'm like 30 minutes from Baltimore. I feel you.
Yeah.
Although there's really just a lot of extreme lows.
Yeah.
And then
like
lower lows.
Extreme loads.
Lows. Oh fuck, this is hard.
Loads of snow in Minnesota for sure.
I miss snow. Okay, let's do this cosplay. What?
Hold on. Extreme loads?
You want me to squirt it in your
of
mouth?
snow. Yeah.
Why? Damn it, Sai! Not on this show. That's a regen thing. I'm sorry, Andy. I made a mistake. I said something I shouldn't have last night when I was talking to my parrot on stream, and Sai decided to clip it because they are a little bitch.
You know, I do have other quotes from you in my sampler.
Please do not. Can we not?
I'm not looking forward to when people go back and just start clipping things from me too.
People threaten it a lot. This is the first time in a while it's happened. So.
Oh, not that one. That one.
There you go.
Okay.
Nice.
God.
Let's do this reveal so I can show you why I can't talk.
Okay.
Metamorphosis completed, sir.
Shay the Red
Has now become
awesome.
That's awesome.
So I did a gender bend because I didn't feel like gluing fake hair on my face. It's not that I don't have it to do. I just didn't want to today.
You know, actually, now that I think, there's a couple female orcs in the story. I'll
just pretend I'm one of them.
Yeah, but like, and I think it's fitting because a lot of them look very like similar with like the different tones of the gray skin and like,
right?
Because they kind of start blending into their Arctic environment. But there's Elda the she-wolf and Kiru the kind. So you can be either of those. They're kind of.
You can be the she-wolf. You're not kind.
The she-wolf.
Yeah.
It's pretty kind to do cosplay. Not gonna lie, I've never.
You should have heard the number of shut the fuck ups that were coming her way from her when she was getting that thing on. So.
Yeah. So I actually made this this cape, the fur cape. My mom and I made it together for a different cosplay, and it is one of the most finicky things I have ever worn in my life. And today is no different. And I'm sitting. Like, it has almost nothing to do, and it's still being a bitch. So.
Shay, what did you make that out of again?
Literally two small area rugs.
Yes. I was just gonna say, I think the And I mean, this is at least, for sure, at least early on with the Night's Watch on Game of Thrones. When they take the black or whatever, they always got those big black fur wolf pelts. Those are carpets from IKEA, specifically.
Of course they're. Well, the thing is when you look. So if you look at when they do the kind of carpets that are supposed to look like pelts, they have two long bits that are supposed to be where the shoulder arm parts were, and that's what that is. And it makes a perfect, like, if you want to bring it around to the front, it makes it perfect for, like, the loop around your neck, and then it hangs down. And I just wanted this really long, so I did two of them.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I thought it was
like, brooch.
I thought it was the toilet rugs. That's what I thought it was with the two things that go around the sides.
No, it's not that. It's an actual, like, nicer rug.
and the rubberized back to it because it's on the bathroom floor.
The thing that's funny is these are upholstery tie backs.
Yes.
So they have like wire and stuff in them, and I have hooks for these to sit in. They love to unhook themselves, so they were hooked on at one point, and at some point while you were stuck in traffic, they decided they weren't going to be hooked anymore, and I decided I didn't care anymore. So I was like, you can't even see them with all the leather and the fur and the hair, so whatever. It's in the way.
It's already awesome. Like
Thank you.
Look like one of my orcs, 100%. So
I also have a picture that I will send you. You can use for promotion or whatever. But
that'd be awesome. And
you know what?
I'll even include that in the graphic novel, Shay. I will.
Yeah.
I will. I have an art contest going, and
I was just gonna say this is my entry, because I was like literally like I told Sai this 2 days ago. I was like, oh my god, I should enter this art contest, and Sai was like, well, when does it end? And I was like, 5 days. So I was like, seriously? I was like, yeah, I don't know, it'll be fine. So I obviously haven't painted anything yet. So yeah, here's my entry. This is my entry.
Heck yeah, I accept. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you your own page in there regardless, just because this is so cool, you know. And it just reminds me.
So sweet.
It reminds me of when I went on Critical Blast show. He kind of did a similar surprise where he just like, here's a theme song, buddy. I'm like, wow,
that's so cool.
It's a great way to meet somebody. I'm like, holy crap, everybody here is awesome. Everybody in the comic community has received me really well, and I feel right at home.
Well, I mean, indie comics is so fun because you do such crazy shit, and it's like a pipe dream for everybody. And so seeing all these people come together and be like, okay, well, this is what I do. Like, I don't do interiors, but I do cosplay. Mm-hmm. So let me do a cosplay real quick.
It's your art expression, yeah.
It is one of the many, but yes, it is one of them at least. The other ones are shit like this, where I people who saw this last night.
Oh, that's cool.
And go through and paint up little. Then there's stuff like that.
Sick.
Yeah.
I could see somebody wanting some sort of special thing for like a comic, it
would be cool. That's actually specifically for Luminovox. Fan art that I did, so that was based a little bit off. It was a couple different things that he had, and I pieced it together and basically painted that. And it was super fun.
And here we have my art expression.
And that's Sai's art expression.
It's perfect.
So I was like, I'm gonna draw your cosplay, and then everyone who's seen this has been like, where Shay's like? Does Shay just have a really long torso?
Yes.
Because we never see the legs.
Reasonable.
Why is she wearing coconuts?
We put it on merch.
And somebody bought it and put it in their house.
Hell yeah.
And the original artwork sold.
Why is one-handed Ginger Root and the other one Pikachu? Yep. It's great. It's great.
That's awesome.
Don't pull out Bulgy.
Please don't pull out Bulgy. Nobody needs to see Bulgy. All right, let's get into a Saga of Sunsets, because this is really cool. Let me go back up to the top so I look like a professional here.
Why start now?
Sometimes I want to try things.
I just want to point this out. Thank you, Ace. I appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you, Ace. I'm glad that is what I look like. Oh, and okay, and then actually, thank you. That was very sweet. Now I'm an asshole. I mean, again, I'm an asshole for many reasons. Okay, Andy.
That's why we get along. It's like
Hey,
twinned assholes.
We all have
Right.
our threshold too. I mean, there's
You know,
there's a line, you know. And you're like, okay, time to be an
Yeah.
asshole.
We frequently cross it. It's
yeah. It's rough over here on the Red Valkyrie channel, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, Andy, A Saga of Sunsets. What the fuck is it? Let's hear your pitch.
Well, it is set. It's a short story set within my world of Arke, Arkae, and this world is kind of like my sandbox for stories. Hence the short story. Now I do have a full length novel. I call it epic length because like normal length is usually 90,000 words. Mine's 150. I didn't feel right to call it like a normal length. It's getting to close to double, you know. But that has its own like protagonist. It's a traditional novel and everything all set there. But that has a defined ending, and it's around a special character that I need to exist because it's like the one that breaks all the rules within the world, because the whole like I said, it's my sandbox. So like the world's as old as it needs to be for me to tell any kind of like story. Some of my favorite tropes are like, you know, the traditional fantasy races, stuff like that. I'm really big into history and you know, like things like the Younger Dryas and like mysteries like the pyramids and stuff like that. So it really drives my imagination, just A, historical events, and B, these things left behind. Like, you know, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but they just announced that they're like they put like 100-year hold on Göbekli Tepe, and it's already been like a couple like 30 years or something that they uncovered it and just left it there. And for those who are listening that don't know what Göbekli Tepe is, it's in Turkey, and it predates Stonehenge and like everything else on Earth, and it disproves like all of history, because like around this time people were just still like pooping in their hand or something, like, or whatever mainstream says.
I mean, it's Turkey. A lot of them still are. But...
Exactly. You nailed it right there, because they say, I mean, not to get too far off, but just to put a nice little bow on that subject, they say that advanced humans could never have existed in the past. And I mean, we have advanced civilization right now with like, how are we talking? We're on different parts of the earth right now talking on the invisible internet. It's magic. And somewhere else on earth there is people who have never even seen like an airplane. Yeah, and they don't even know what it is, you know. So we live in that world. My world of Arcade, there's endless stories. World's as old as it needs to be. Magic is tied to objects, so there's where my archaeological nerd comes alive in me. You can't just say magic words and cast spells, but like in the case of the protagonist in the Saga of Sunsets, you can find a magic crystal maybe somewhere, and it's cool. It's magic in the sense that, like I said, the world's as old as it needs to be. So how you get the magic in there. You 100% get the magic in there, but it also makes sense, and it's a simple system. It's like it's tied to objects. Think of how energy is transferred in real life. You can just think of that kind of stuff, and that's kind of how all these interactions work. So you get cool things like he's holding the crystal. He just expelled all the energy from it, and then there's fires breaking out because of that. And then all of a sudden, all the fires die down, and then you see the energy just refill in the crystal, because it's like, what is fire if not like radiation, a source of energy, and and so I really tap into that. It's one of the coolest things I love to do with this magic system, is the bad guy, right when you think the moment's over or whatever, all of a sudden all the fires die down and it gets dark, and then the crystal glows again, or whatever object they have comes back to life, and it's like, no, it's not over, you know what I mean? I love doing that. But yeah, so this is set in the same world. It's all these Arcade Chronicles, as I call them, the short stories that spin off from Arcade, are each legends. They're like historical figures. So Jarl him and Horfist here and his king Tyvus, the old eagle. These two would be among the orcs of Arche would be like your, Eric the Reds, maybe even a Beowulf, right? On the level of Beowulf. Yeah. So this is like, and it's based on the real life story of the Kensington runestone found in Minnesota here. It's in the Alexandria Museum. I went to the museum with my wife, and we looked at historically accurate longships. I took pictures and all that. The runestone is right there. I got pictures of the inscription and everything, the translation. In this story, there's actually a point where they leave a runestone behind, and I have the orcish Arche version of the real world Kensington runestone. So I like to kind of have a little education in there. I mean, I try not to be revisionist and keep it like completely fresh, but I do have to admit where my inspirations are, and I was just fascinated by that because for those who don't know, it says on the runestone, first off, it's found in Minnesota, right? Think of how far Minnesota is from the East Coast. But then you think about the Great Lakes and how they have access to the ocean from the Great Lakes and stuff like that. Right to Superior, right into the heart of Minnesota, you could have Vikings technically. So it's like, okay, that's crazy, but it makes sense. And they said they came all the way from, I think it was Vinland, which I think at the time was like on the East Coast, right? So they're like, we came all this way from this place that everybody knows exists nowadays, right? Or existed nowadays, or how they referred to it. And essentially, we left half our group to watch the ship while we went hunting. I think was what they were doing. They were going to gather supplies or something. And when they came back, found them, quote, red with blood, and dead. Is kind of that's how they phrased it. So like it was like a horror movie that unfolded for the Vikings. Now there's arguments to be made and speculation to be had, like Vikings, right? What are Vikings famous for? Maybe they made some enemies along the way, but on face value, if you just take it as the horror movie scenario, your mind can run wild. And let me tell you, after when you can only have like 20, maybe 30 dudes on one longship, half of them die, you got to cross the ocean. But if half of them die, and like your guys' way of life is hinged on like knowing how this works, like you guys have to be elite to be the ones that made it across the ocean and stuff, or one of the few. So half of them die. I don't know. Do you guys think that they would have made it home? And if not, I don't. What do you think would have happened? Like you're stranded in like old-timey Minnesota where it's just tribal, right?
Yeah. Well, and
What's
so
that
the funny
show that we watched, Shay, with the Viking that was
the comedy.
Yeah.
It was the whatever the spin-off is of the show Vikings. Like there's a farcical show, and I can't remember what it's called, but it is
the chick that sees ghosts.
Oh no, that one? Oh no. That is God, what is that called?
It's
like Ghost Hotel or something like that.
I think it was just called Ghosts.
Oh yeah, no, it is. You're right. It is. It's just called
It's
Ghosts.
just chilling at this this ghost of a Viking just chilling at
Yeah.
this chick's bed and breakfast.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and it's hilarious because he's very much a Viking.
And
Like it just in every way.
Ghost stuck in a house like
they're stuck in the bounds of the property, so they can't see each other. But his son went looking for him because he never came home.
Well, they can't meet up, but they can they can stand.
So
at
they
the
can
top of each
shout
of the houses and
from the
yell back and
windows
forth
at each other. And basically, this guy's like Thor is like the alpha Viking type. Like he's like,
gotta
kill everything with your bare hands, like whatever, And then his son is getting bullied by a female ghost in his house, and he's like, "What do you mean you're being bullied? I don't understand what you're saying." He's like,
what is bullying?
he's like, just punch her, and he's like, "I can't." He's like, "Why not?" And then she shows up and she's like, "Oh, you crying to your daddy?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, you're being bullied by her." And he's just like, "Well, I know it's different when you're over here, okay?" And it's just like, I don't know if it is. It's hilarious. Like, I'm sorry, this turned into an ad for Ghost. If you haven't seen Ghost, go see it. It's fucking, I loved it. It was hilarious. So fun.
I'll have to check that out.
The other thing I was going to say when you're talking about runestones, so I was stationed, I'm in the military for people who don't know. Yay for military. This is what we look like. I'm just kidding. But no, I am in the military, and I was stationed overseas for 4 years. And where I was living, I was in this teeny little village. Like, literally, they're called villages. They're about 1 street long. There's, like, probably, like, maybe 50 houses, if that, and that's it for the village, right? And they're all right next to each other. And in my particular village, not only did we have a pub and a butcher, we had... One house had a rune stone from the Viking era that was in their front lawn that they were not allowed to move, but had to upkeep. Because it's a historical thing, and so you can't move it, and you can't get rid of it, but you do have to cut your grass around it and make sure that you don't damage it.
Because it's like the Earth's, it's everybody's. It's not. Yeah. You have the land, but not that thing.
Exactly. You have every part of the land except where this one sits.
Some people get really weird about moving it too, which I don't blame them.
Oh yeah, no, these in England it's not allowed. If they're considered protected, that's where they live because that's where they work.
They would know all about it since they re-renovated all of Stonehenge and literally moved those stones around at whenever they wanted. So that's what sucks.
Honestly, look, guys, Stonehenge is a total bust. Don't recommend going. It's so stupid. And you can see it. You can see it for the hour that you're stuck in traffic trying to get there. You can see it from the street, and then you get up there, and it's not any different. It looks exactly the damn same.
It's stones. Yeah. It's fascinating. It is what it is. It sucks that you can see where they've done modern repairs on it and basically just used cranes to fix it, so it takes some of the magic out of it. But the value's still kind of there with, like, imagining the druids dancing around, and like looking at the stars and like.
Well, my whole thing is there are so many cooler, more historical things that you can see, and if you really want to get a good look at Stonehenge, go get a book on Stonehenge, because you're not going to get to see it in that same amount of detail, even if you go in person. There are ropes that keep you like 20 to 50 feet, something like that, away from everything. So you are walking slightly closer to it.
Which again, I can't blame them, because that just happens to be about a safe distance from like soup and paint and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and it's just, but like the thing that's so stupid, right? So in my small village, that has 1 street, there's a runestone in my neighbor's front yard. Across the way from that is another runestone and a wooden carved sacrificial altar that was specifically it was specifically for when they would do like their offerings to the gods for the fall. And all around the base of this giant, it's like a fucking tree. They cut down a damn tree and then they carved it, and it is incredibly detailed with every possible animal that you can think of. They've carved into the edges of it, and then next to it is a stone, rune stone, and the whole thing is talking about like their worship and everything for the change of the seasons, and how they're grateful, and they give offerings for that and kind of stuff, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and I could see that just walking out of my front door and going down the street.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's so much cooler doing that kind of stuff and finding like the abbeys and stuff that are broken down than it is ever going to Stonehenge. Don't go to Stonehenge.
From the sounds of it feels a little bit on the Celtic side, like the Picts and the true Aboriginals of Britain.
Yeah.
Because this is Britain, right?
Yeah.
You said? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's my first thought, because giving thanks to like the seasons and stuff like that is like very much a little bit more in their line of thinking, because it's another thing I do here in my writing is I did a little studying on like symbolism and just a little dabbling looking into like some mythologies. Like I've always been a huge fan of mythologies, you know. As a kid, it starts with like Norse and Greek and Egyptian and stuff like that. But like more recently getting into the nuance of like Celtic, Pict, and like more of the, you know, those like Gaelic
Right.
gods and stuff. That totally would make sense that they're sacrificing stuff on this altar and they have a rune stone there to commemorate it, because I mean part of their dichotomy is like you have the king of winter and the king of summer. You can think of like the king of winter as Jack Frost, and the king of summer is literally just like a horned green, like foresty, like whatever you want to imagine the representation of summer. But like this gets all into all sorts of details with it. Like I have a whole color scheme that like I will deck a character out in a very specific color when I want to dress him as the summer king or the winter king, and they both have, I mean, if you want to think of it this way, to add the masculine and the feminine energy, the summer king can also be Mother Nature, and the winter king can be like that cold, calculated like male, like I need to be the one that's going to kill when necessary,
Right.
but then, you know what I mean, and kind of
Well,
like a lot of chaos and a lot of order at the same time, and it's like
I think
cold.
another thing that people don't really pay attention to when it comes to a lot of this, the historical references when you're looking at all these, like the Celts, the Picts, the Vikings, the, you know, and when you say Viking, people don't understand. When you say Viking, that is like one of the broadest terms you could say.
It's a subset of Norse. They went
Like
Viking.
you're literally like those white people over there, and it's like, okay, there's so many different kinds.
Yes.
So
Viking
many
is
different kinds.
Technically a pirate.
Yes.
It's like they're going Viking. They're going raiding, essentially.
Yes.
So yeah.
And the thing is like there's so many areas. Like I did, so you know, you do your DNA ancestry stuff, right? And a lot of people forget that your ancestry is going to go back to a more historical point of those places. And so just because something's like, hey, you're French, that doesn't mean you're modern day French. That doesn't mean that that's what you're related to. You have to look at the entire thing and see what all of it means, and then go, oh, okay, so I'm considered French, but it's because these people moved here and that's where they set up shop, and then they created this whole thing. So like for me, I am the most Norse you could get without being in like Norway, Denmark. Like
Yeah.
like literally, I'm like, I want to say it was like 60% Danish,
Heck yeah.
and then 60 to 70, I think, and then like there's a huge chunk that is British, but it isn't British. It's
Right.
specific places in Britain where the Vikings traveled to
Yeah.
and set up shop, and then I have the
Imagine
teeny tiny bit that is Italian, but it is the one. There is
Rome.
one place in Italy where they like congregated really heavy, and the name that came from that is actually the maiden name of my mom, and I was like, yep, that would make sense that's where it's saying.
I
There you
just
go.
saw a whole. Oh, sorry. You go.
I actually learned this in the last 48 hours. Viking was actually a verb,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as in
it's
to go,
Yep. We're
adventuring.
Yep.
The first
It's
one is
awesome.
the noun.
It's awesome.
Vikinger.
Traveling adventure. Yeah. A Vikinger. I just saw this whole movie unfold and fast forward in my head when you were talking about all that. You're Italian. That just screams Roman in my mind, because Rome came and built like the first roads in Britain, and then the Vikings
Right.
came after that. So it totally paints this huge story, like, and it's your marginalized blood that happens to be the British and Roman, and then the big chunk is the Vikings. So you probably came with the Vikings,
Yeah.
and then you mingled with some Roman British. And there's
Probably,
minimal
yeah.
Roman there because the Roman was the one that came before you, and it's this whole
Yeah.
thing. I'm like, that's a crazy story. I love it, and
But,
that's
like,
what's so
people-
interesting about it.
People don't realize that that's how it breaks down. So, like, I'm never going to go and be like, I'm Italian, and be like, no, not really. Like,
Right. Like
first off, it's like a 5%. So it's like really not Italian anyway. But if you're looking at it, and like you can pay attention to where tribes and heritage and things like that, especially when you're talking about something like you're talking about Norse Vikings.
yeah.
They were very good at record keeping. They were meticulous in their record keeping, and that's why they were able to conquer so much, because they could explain to you exactly where they went and what went wrong and how to do it better the next time.
Yep.
And that is why they were successful in it. And so
And they survived these crazy Vikings, these adventures, and came
Yep.
home and talked about it. And
it was part of their heritage. It was like,
Yeah.
you have to understand these things because this is who we are. If you don't understand this, then then what are you doing? You're not even understanding where you come from. You're just
Right.
here, and that isn't enough. Not to mention the time that they lived in. It's not like you could just be. Like, there is no just be. Like, you have to do things. You can't just go to Aldi and pick up some fucking food. Like,
Yeah.
bitch, you better learn how to hunt or gather or make some armor or fucking something. You have to learn something.
I always say to my wife, and a couple thoughts here. I always say to my wife, though, like, the world ends, what am I going to say? I'll write you a cool story. I will sing you a song.
Yeah.
She knows more about cars than me, for example. So it's like,
Oh, good for her! I
I'm
love
gonna-
her already.
Yeah, she's good. I'm gonna have to. Either way, I'm gonna have to like be very charismatic. But it's kind of funny. I'm mostly Welsh. My last name is Pritchard, which is really fascinating. I know there's correlation but not causation with
Yeah.
this, but like Pritchard, the Picts, and some of the early words for like Britain, like start with PR or PRI. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? I may be looking a little too deep in that. I asked a few questions and people are like, no, that doesn't mean anything. I'm like, oh, okay. It's cool though, because it's like the Picts and then Pritchard, and then it happens to be like the same prefix as what the Picts called Britain originally.
Yeah.
I forgot what the term was for the island that they called it. But yeah, and it's funny because the Welsh were particularly fun for the Vikings to come and conquer and take over and thrall and stuff. And my wife is right there with you, like 50-60% Norway.
Yeah.
And so
Well, that's the thing is, I think I was
here
a
am
huge chunk
Welsh.
like Danish, and then like a smaller part was like Norwegian, and then like it was and then there's a little bit of Britain and this tiny bit of Italian right here, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's just intermingling.
With my wife, it's fascinating. I haven't gotten my ancestry test. I just go by my last name, like my appearance. I tend to look a lot like British people from Wales, as it turns
Right.
out. So I just take that as majority that, and then probably just a mix of other things like maybe probably some German, and then I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
else. The surprise stuff, like you're Italian. My wife's surprise stuff. She has a crazy salad of like South Chinese kind of going on India, that region.
Wow.
She has African in there, and she has South American in there.
Wow,
or
look
no,
at her.
sorry, not South American. Sorry, Native American Indian from North America in there. So she's got this crazy salad.
I mean,
of
I'm not
stuff
gonna
in
lie, that sounds a lot like intermingling after they set somewhere and then they
a little bit. The
conquer.
yeah, a little bit. And she
It's
totally,
fine.
she totally looks Norse too. She's got
Oh yeah.
striking
Wait.
blonde hair, the freckles.
How tall is she?
Very tall, 5'7", I think, 5'8", maybe. I don't know the exact.
Okay.
But maybe 5. I don't know. But she was known for being tall. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean,
you know.
she's not Shay tall, but I get it. It's fine. But no, like literally,
So you're saying it runs in the family or whatever.
Oh no, it does. So like my mother, if you ever wanted to know what, like, if you aren't able to actually go to like Norway, Denmark, Sweden area and see a lot more concentrated amount of people that are related to Norse people, go to Utah. There's a lot of us there.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say a lot of us, I mean I'm 6'1", and I was in no way even close to the tallest girl in my school.
Wow, you're 6'1"?
Yes.
Okay, that's crazy. you're taller than my wife, and like she points that out whenever she sees it. Like she's very aware of people's height because she had to be for herself or whatever. So.
Well, and the thing is
before this train started, I'm like, you're just a big bitch. I wasn't
yeah.
saying that she was.
Emphasis on the big.
Yes.
Big.
Tall. Yeah.
Yes.
Very tall. Wait, did we don't have it on this brand, do we?
What?
No, we don't. I was trying to see if we had the
You're taller
2G.
than me. Holy shit, that's gonna be okay. So if I'm ever at a con or something, it is gonna be hilarious. If like in person, somehow you get in the arcade or cosplay again, and we somehow get a picture, because you have the proper like height too. I mean, they're way.
Oh, I
bigger
have the
than
build
humans.
too. I'm literally, like, I used to joke about this. I'm literally barrel chested. I didn't realize that I was joking, thinking that like, oh yeah, because I got these big shoulders and everything. But when they were trying to do a scan of my heart, they couldn't get a good image because I had to go on the side, and my ribs are so far set that I'm actually the definition of barrel chested.
So imagine you are the tribal people in North America, or even just like the very, very religious Welsh that don't even have any defense for that. We've all seen like the beginning of Vikings, right? When they show up at the monastery. Like there would be this huge difference. And this is why it's like very important, like orcs. It makes sense. And actually my orcs aren't 100% Viking. This is actually just a point in time where their nature presented in this way, and this happened, right? Mm-hmm. My orcs are actually closer to like Mongolians, like nomads. They follow the ice sheet as it melts behind them and freezes in front of them, because the planet is on a tilted axis and in a perpetual ice age. Basically, as it slowly turns, it's freezing and melting at the same time. So humanity is on the verge of extinction. We're an endangered species. That's like, I think that's a soft rule that I'm trying to carry over through each age. Like, no matter what story I write with whatever technology level or whatever's going on, I think that's always going to be a common thing, because the world itself is so hostile. If humanity does flourish, which I'm sure that like quote unquote timeline does exist, and there's not multiple timelines, I'm just saying it'll keep going until a story like whatever I'm imagining could present itself. But like if humanity flourishes, and I do plan this in a future Arcade Chronicle, but like, yeah, there's a reason there's 3 moons, and there's a reason it's on its axis. I'm a huge fan of the Younger Dryas. Here's another fun thing. Think of every possible scenario that a world can end. And I can also write that, because I'm going to have to reset time at some point, because time goes forward, so you have to reset it at some point if you want to go from like, if you want to have the Viking orcs or something, or like, or maybe if you want to have a timeline where like orcs and humans are actually friends and they're both fending off I don't know, the reptilians or something, or the deep ones like Lovecraft or something. You'd have to first knock humanity back from flourishing, and then present a timeline that allows them to build in that way, in that direction. So the Viking route it's spot on, because you can imagine these Norse guys back in the day with the skinny Welsh guys like me, and they just come out and they're like, no neck. They have been killing their whole life. They're ready to bring gold and maybe a son back with them, and like present it to their wife and stuff like that, like, or whatever I can't even speak for it, but like they were brutish explorers that are willing to conquer and take, and they were a different species, 100%. Like taller, denser. Like there's a reason everybody feared them. There's a reason the Byzantine Empire picked up specifically Viking berserkers as like their honor guard. I forgot the term for that honor guard.
I mean, if we're gonna
that's a thing.
If we're gonna also be real, though, the Viking berserkers were absolutely horrifying because you get a little bit of that very specific medicinal shit, and you guys think basalt is bad? Like,
You go into a killing frenzy trance.
the shit they were doing, you were like, okay, let's get the berserkers, but let's get them like way up there first,
I think,
and then ready go, and dear God, don't turn around, like go forward. You come this way, I'm gonna lay you out, but go that way.
I also know it's hard to like keep everything straight throughout history as far as like how well. Yes, they had to be brutal because they had this reputation, but how brutal were they? Like I saw a meme. It was like a berserker that was like, hey, you want to go, raid a village, and then it was a Norse, just a normal average Norse guy, and like with his family behind him. So it was like the Chad head as the berserker, and he was like all bloody and had like the bear skin like poorly photoshopped on there. And the next frame was like a normal guy with a bunch of little Chad children behind him, responding to the berserker. He's like, stay away from my family, weirdo. You know what I mean? So it's like, how brutal were they? Were they actually shunned by society, or were they like super honored? And I think the reality is it's somewhere like all the answers are right. You know what I mean? Because if you have a
it's somewhere, it's in the in between, right? Because like if you're the one fighting, if you are one of the guys that's a warrior that's going out, the berserkers are somebody that you keep at an arm's length because they are unpredictable, because they are under the influence when they go berserk. That's how they're able to do what they do. But they are also highly revered because they were so effective and they're fighting on your side. So as long as they're on your side, like they're great,
Unleash the
bear, if you like when you go back to the village where everybody is, berserkers kind of got their own corner. Like
exactly.
Like we like you, but also like, listen, Lars, I'm gonna need you to not tell my small child about your ridiculous, fucking brutal way that you ripped a guy's spinal cord out through his neck hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like he's 3. Leave him alone. Like
you have the. I have a character named Red Raken in the story, and he's kind of that guy. He like is always wearing his armor. He never cleans it. They call him Red Raken, not because his hair grew out red like one of the other characters named Usyk the Unlucky.
Because he's constantly covered in blood.
Oh yeah, and it's probably disgusting. And he drags his bastard along with him. We can all draw conclusions to how why everybody around them would be fixating on this son of Raken being a bastard. Why does that matter? Well, you can kind of draw some conclusions there that I never felt the need to go into detail about it with Raken's backstory. But he earned the name by... and it's funny, that son, Red Raken's bastard, that's literally, they call him the bastard, blah, 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 blah. But by the end, he kind of comes out in his own, and, I mean, it has strong family themes in here, and I'm, like, really proud of, like, the first half, the introductory half of the story, it's this guy right here on screen, Hymn Horfist, Jarl Hymn Horfist. He has risen to the rank of Jarl, among the, which is like kind of like a governor king, not quite king.
It's like it's almost like a chieftain.
Like yes, like So he's risen to that rank through just straight merit, because that's how orc society works. Like I'm very proud of my orc world building. Very proud of it. Like I'm actually pretty confident I could answer a lot of questions. But like,
oh my god! Oh, I just had a thought.
What's up?
Do they paint a stripe on their longship to make it go faster? Because that would make me so happy.
A red stripe, yeah.
Can I just say I love that the only reason that the magic works in the 40k universe with orcs is because they believe so heavily that it does.
Yeah.
Like just because they believe it is why it works.
Makes them
I
dangerous. Yeah.
love it so much. I think it's amazing.
They can believe that this claw that they've just basically stabbed into their hand. Like, I don't know, stab a scissors through your hand, and then like that's my claw, right? It's scissors stabbed through your hand, and they can believe that can pierce armor of like the armor of a tank, and then it will.
Yeah, it definitely does get a little bit ridiculous at times,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where, from a storytelling aspect, it really opens up an interesting opportunity where you can ask the question, like, if you just set it up and you don't ever dive into it, it sounds absolutely asinine, ridiculous, and like a complete cop out, right? 100% cop out. Oh,
Right.
They believe it, that's why it works.
Right.
But if you really get into it, shut up. I know I didn't paint my hands, okay? I didn't paint my hands because it's annoying as hell.
It works.
Every time I painted my hands and then had to do this show, I'm like,
No, there's probably
anything.
snow white orcs, like albino orcs. I'm sure. Because think about it.
I'm pale enough.
You could have gotten gray surgical gloves. That would have been.
Yeah. That would have been. Yeah.
You're horrible. Anyway, so the thing what I was going to say about like the storytelling aspect is it gives you an opportunity to really take it to a different level where you talk about the power of the mind and how far does that actually go. Because we do know when people don't believe something, the likelihood that they will be successful in doing the thing that they don't believe that they can do is
Drastically drop.
almost non-existent because you don't think you can do it.
Yeah.
But how many
real world application?
How many times have people been like, there is no way that you should be able to do this, and yet I just watched you do it, and it makes zero sense how you were able. And I was like, well, I just thought I could, and I just tried really hard, and
So
there's a lot to be said for that.
Right. Yeah. So that's 100% on point, and I like to think I touch on a lot of similarly strong points in the story, as far as like family and ambition, because orcs are an ambitious society. So
Right.
In the source material, which is Archaic Chronicles Book 1, it's called Mortal Descent, available on Amazon. But in the source material, the orcs are far more brutish. Like I said, one of the rules is like humanity is generally always like an endangered species. So you need equally brutish people to represent that. I always viewed the orcs as like a more primitive version of humans that kind of branched off at a certain point. Something that can come to mind that would be fair would be like the Neanderthals in real life, which they kind of were orcs when you look at a lot of the of what we know about it. They probably looked pretty crazy. Like their eyes, for example, are like more than twice the size of ours. So you just see this huge creature come out of the darkness with a bunch of huge creatures behind them. Because they're up to no good.
Yeah,
there's a reason they're in your tribe, and their eyes are twice as big as yours for starters.
I'm good.
They stand way taller than no.
I'm good.
There's a reason like Tolkien and all kinds of writers, even like Greek mythology, right? A lot of old mythologies always have some sort of like thing with like another like race of creatures that are always trying to get us. We always have a thing with monsters like in the dark, and it's for good reason, biological reasons. Now, I won't speak on Lovecraft's behalf because that's up to interpretation with some of that controversy.
Lovecraft was psycho.
Yeah,
like, we ain't got. You can't talk to me about a corner that's obtuse and acute at the same time. Like, I can't handle that. My brain folds in on itself. I can't do it.
Pretty brutal. But yeah, I had a friend of mine, my wife's uncle, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He's very like left-leaning, so when we're watching a Lovecraft movie, I'm talking about all the Lovecraft stuff, like world building. I'm a writer. I'm geeking out about the cosmic horror and like the lore. Is it accurate to the lore? I'm just like, I got Wikipedia pulled up the whole time I'm trying to read it, and I mean, like, one of his takeaways was after like a night discussing Lovecraft was how obsessed he was with hybrids. And when you really think about it, with his racial division and his controversy around that, it kind of makes sense from a psychological point if he's always talking about hybrid monsters. But I mean, if you want to get super real, I think the reason it's a broad thing among humanity isn't because of like I mean, yeah, people like him are going to exist, unfortunately, but also fortunately in some ways, like the Cthulhu mythos, right? He's created like an entire genre. It's just whatever, product of your time. But like, there's this biological thing that runs deep into the like vast history of humanity of like protecting your family from other creatures. In the darkness that are out
Absolutely.
to get you. And I kind of touch on that a little bit. It's very, very family centric in this. So, I mean, without, we start with him and Horfist here. It's a very merit-based society. So, like, they have a very Spartan upbringing. Very much like throw your kids into the cold, like, Spartans, literally. And you better return with, like, proof that you took down a predator in some way, because they understand that like a little kid can't drag a bear home, right?
Right.
But
Figure it out, though, child.
You could bring a tooth, I don't know, or just like
Bring it back in pieces. It's fine.
Yeah. And I mean that would be like a trophy. They'd probably turn that bear head into like a helmet or like a shoulder pad or something.
Or
yeah.
gosh,
So
I really want to cosplay, like make a cosplay helmet.
you could go
bear
hard.
head that goes into. Oh,
Think about Arctic. So there's not very much wood. Maybe there's like enough metal. I mean, yeah, you could probably mine, but like it's freezing, so it's very hard to mine. Like everything's harder because it's frozen. So like, yeah, maybe you could mine and just enough to get weapons and stuff. But like I leaned very heavily into like they are nomads. They're probably following animals and the ice sheet. They are probably figuring out a way to like still thrive in this environment any way I can reach for. So they have bones, like they'll have mammoth bones and like other things like tigers and wolves and bears. The bears in the Arctic of Arche are basically dire bears, if you want to think of that size difference between a wolf and a dire wolf. But then like give it that size difference, like the American flat-faced bear. I don't know if you've seen that in comparison.
hyperbores.
Huge.
Oh, sorry, hyperboreal.
Huge bear. Yeah. Hyperboreal. Ooh. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But the bears have horns, and they're that much bigger.
Right.
You gotta have your crazy creatures. That was one thing I leaned into. And the strongest and bravest orcs can like tame the bears, and they'll ride them into battle, and it's even more horrifying when a bear has horns. It's awesome. The King Tyvus actually has bear horns on his crown. It's the two big red horns that you see. Those are bear horns. Very much like bull horns, just like ready to skewer something. So they'll send them out, return, with something, or, if you don't return, we assumed you either froze to death or something ate you, right? And it's fine because the way they view it, I have them worship like life and death, that duality between that. Like, how could you not, living in a landscape like that where you just have to feel like everything is just a stroke of luck or a blessing or something?
Well, that's also like if you're tying this back with Vikings, that's also a really heavy theme in Viking culture, is that death is not the end, and it's expected, and it's as long as you are dying nobly, like you're not dying running away from something, but you're facing things and you're fighting for your family and for your clan, like that's where the honor is in it. And should you be struck down in the middle of that, that's what Valhalla's for. Like, that's where you're going.
Based,
and so it makes perfect sense that you would have them go that route. Now we have gotten so off track so many times in this, but it's so much fun, and I'm not even sorry. I'm not sorry, Scott. Like I thought this was great.
That's what actually I kind of do. So,
I just like you talk about Vikings. That's my people. Like,
yeah, I understand.
I'm gonna get way off track.
I understand it's about the comic and stuff, but I'm also gonna like talk about all the stuff I'm interested in.
Well, the thing is that understanding your mindset and where you're coming from with the comic and with the Viking mythology and everything that you've put into it gives a better insight as to how the story is going to be progressing. So it's worthwhile. But I will say, we should probably talk about the tiers so people know how they can back you.
That's fair.
So let's just go back up to the top here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let you go through these tiers, just how much they are and what people are getting for each one. So.
All right, here I'm gonna go full screen then. Let's see here. Okay. All right, I'm ready. So you got the 25. Well, it starts at $10 with the digital tier, but the way it's ordered, this is kind of the first thing you'll see. The $25 tier is your standard print edition with cover A. Now the images shown here are placeholders. I have cover. I don't know if it's on the. I can point it out when we get to it, but one of the fan arts actually became cover B, and I have cover C in the works right now, which is the line art you'll also see at one point. But these images here are placeholders. I made them thick books to really convey that you're getting a minimum of 72 pages. So this could easily break 100 pages of art if if I'm very liberal with the splash pages.
So here's a question then. So this is like a more of a novel instead of a comic.
It's a complete story, yeah. It's not.
Okay.
It's not going to be a recurring thing. If I do another one, it'll be another short story because that's.
But what I'm getting at is the layout.
Yeah.
Like it's not laid out like a comic book with panels and.
Oh,
and
it is.
Like
it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is. It is a very beefy comic book, is what you're
It's
saying.
a beefy, yes, like a graphic novel sort of thing.
Graphic novel.
I mean, people think floppy comic like 24 pages.
Yeah.
I'm
no,
gonna
this
punch
is.
you in the tit, Shay. I just want you to know that. Armor or not,
Bring it.
I will.
She has her-
In 6 days, when you drive down to get me,
When I drive down to pick your ass up. Yeah.
will punch you in the
Exactly. Exactly. I'm gonna throw you out of the moving car. Anyway.
Do you
Time
see
to
the
go
face? Yeah, motherfucker.
Time to go Viking.
Yes, it's happening.
By the way,
He's tiny like a tiny tiger. I need to go and take your soundboard away is what I need to do. Alright, so you have cover A, cover B. Cover B is going to be black and white?
Yeah, this is going to be your cover A is going to be like your standard size, like paperback, right? I'm like an author first, so I do tend to think of this in book terms, even though it is an art book. I still, I wrote it and I did all the lettering and stuff. Luke is the artist, did a great job, and I let him do his own rendition. Like I said, in the source material, the Vikings are probably a little bit more brutish. They have more body hair. Because you would need to be a little furry to survive out there. But Luke did a fantastic job at giving them a slight humanized element, which works with the whole legend thing. So they're going to be very pretty and like he really captured like the legend aspect of it. But anyway, the black and white one here is going to be like the pocket-sized version. Would be like the comic book term for it, but. I call it the manga edition because it's black and white, and Luke's style kind of lends itself to that. And manga has the very small, thick, tomes of manga in black and white. They're famous for it. So it's not going to read backwards or anything like that, but it will just feel a little Eastern in that regard, in the style. Because I know some people do prefer that, and
some do.
This comic started off as black and white only, actually, because Luke has a fantastic price for that, and he's very good at it. But it was Anvil Magazine that actually requested the color and made this thing come alive. So, I may have started it, but the revenue from the source material on Amazon, I funneled completely back into getting like a couple pages or something from Luke, showed that to Anvil. Anvil requested more, essentially, and propelled it by, I have a 15-page preview, the first 15 pages in full color in Anvil Magazine number 3 on my shelf over there. I could even show you guys a little bit, but they pushed it to this stage, and now that's why it's like it means a lot to me, because it's like the community made this thing come alive out of nowhere. It's people that it's my colleagues. I don't have like a crazy base of readers yet. I have more listeners as a musician than I do readers. People got to really take that next step to read. Not to mention it's got to be in your personality to like and enjoy reading. But so all that money that I first got from the source material is just my most staunch supporters and friends and stuff like that, and it's kind of carried on to this point. So I'm really proud of it, and that's why I'm also not ashamed to have just like placeholders, because this thing is building itself in real time. That's what this thing is. This is like the community making something more than it's me making something. That's why the goal isn't to make money with how all my numbers stack up. I'm actually losing $6,000 at the end of the day when you account for shipping. And my co-host Bad Sauce thinks I'm crazy. He's like, "You're gonna ruin yourself." I'm like, "Listen, the thing is making itself, and it's not the goal to profit off of a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter type idea, the startup, is to start something up. The goal of this is to get it. Yeah, I will make money 10 years from now from Amazon sales, if that's what it takes. Or I'll order extra books, since I'll be, I'm working with Critical Blast in that regard. I think he's going to be my printer. Once I'm established there, maybe it'll just be super easy to just order more books and ship them out. Like, I can do that. I did it all the time with my band. So, I digress. The $30 one is the hardcover. Only $5 more for hardcover. This one's in full color too, and I believe that one is a little bit bigger in size than the paperback. So it's like each one is a different size too.
Yeah.
The mini paper hardcover, and then the $50 tier is where things start getting signed, because I'm not just merely offering books at that point anymore. You know what I mean? Like, here's all the special stuff comes in. So yeah, Luke agreed to meet me halfway, across the country, and just spend the day signing things once it's all set up. So everything can be signed by me and Luke, basically beyond the $50 tier. To be honest, I'm probably just going to do it for everything if I can help it, because why not? If we're going to make a day out of it, let's make a day out of it and just sign everything, But
you might want to rethink that. And the only reason I'm going to say that, there's two big reasons. One of the big pulls for this is the fact that you're getting something signed, on top of getting the digital, the hardcover, the stickers, and the bookmark, right?
Yes.
The other reason is you might have people who don't want their stuff signed, and so they will buy at a lower level because they don't want that on the cover. So be careful with I might just do it for everything, because you can unintentionally piss off a large amount of your backers by doing that.
You're right.
It's all good intentions, but I'm letting you know, because like Sai said, it was 300 and how many? 380 something?
383 as of this stream.
383 shows that we've done. We've seen everything. And so we've seen things go really well. We've seen things go horribly wrong. And one time I ended a stream. Yeah, and one time I ended a stream prematurely because it was that bad.
This is going to be round 2. I can tell you guys hate me. So.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Like, this guy is talking.
Fucking hour long so far.
This guy's being such an asshole about my ancestry right now. Like,
my DiGiorno pizza is crying in the freezer right now.
Go preheat your oven.
Fuck you.
Fuck you too.
Get over here. We'll talk about it.
No, we won't. I'm not cleared.
Damn your surgeries.
The orc muscle mamas drive everybody nuts. That's what I'm seeing happen here, and that just makes my co-host suggestion of getting kind of a little sensual cover, you know what I mean, that comics are famous for. One of those.
It does fucking sell.
I'm just gonna throw. Hold on, wait. I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you're taking ideas for future covers, if you ever wanted to collaborate for a cosplay cover, let me know.
I haven't seen those. I want to see those. And has anybody done that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have. Cool. I don't have it with me, but I have one that Bill Jers did, where he took my cosplay from the stream and put it on one of his covers, and he only printed 5 of them. Mm-hmm. And I had one, Sai had one, he had one.
And we gave away one, didn't we?
I think he gave us one to give away, and then he sold one on the auction that went to Mike. So
That's a good
there's
idea.
only 5 in existence. I also did a photo shoot that Rainey included the cosplay picture of in Fiendish. But yeah, it happens.
Hell yeah.
And I'm down, and I'm big enough.
Sick. Yeah. And it's if it's specifically this story, because like I said, they're not always orcs. This is
Right.
my orc Viking story.
Aren't
based
you
on-
glad?
Oh, look at you.
Aren't you glad that I know where shit is in our shared folder?
I am, because I don't.
Oh.
Yeah, this is that's what Bill did. So this is he has a cover that he drew that was this character, and I put on a bald cap, split the hair through it, dyed the hair, styled it, painted my face, painted my neck, everything, and then he clipped it out and put it for a cover, which was really fun.
That's amazing. Actually, that's actually amazing.
It was really
This
fun.
is the cup. Oh, that's so cool. That's so
It
cool.
was
Yeah,
really, really fun.
I would be very open to that, especially since I'm going to this is gonna stay open as long as it needs to, even though it says ending in a few days, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Not too long,
Let's finish the tiers real quick, and then let's get into that, because I want to make sure we touch on that before we wrap.
But there's my point. Plenty of time for more than 3 covers, more than what's here. Like I said, it's making itself at this point, and that's what I'm really proud of, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
You can feel the support underneath of it, and it's wow, you know what I mean? And I can compare
Absolutely.
I can compare it directly to my Amazon book. I'm learning a lot. I can compare both of those to all my my music experience, and it's just been really enlightening and humbling at the same time, to be honest. But I digress. $10 digital tier, just straight up. You can get the comic digitally. That's why I have the phone on there. Full color, all that, and the $15 gets you the audiobook from the source material, because it's another digital thing I can offer. And I know audiobooks can get up to $40 these days. I know, I'm aware of that, but I think 5 is fair. To be honest, that's what I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because doesn't it make sense? If you have a $20 book in hardcover, wouldn't it make sense if it's $10 in paperback and then a little less than that in digital?
See, if I was doing it, I would have done it 13 in paperback,
10,
and then
yeah,
8 audio maybe.
something like that, or
But the thing that
comparable.
bothers me with the audiobook, I understand that you're not getting the physical book, but a good audiobook is a performance.
Yes.
A really good narrator brings that entire book to life. And as somebody with really bad ADHD, if I don't do an audiobook, I'm gonna have a very hard time getting through a novel. Not because I can't read, but because if I'm sat quiet and still for that long, I will wander. And I have gotten, I want to say I've read 30 pages before I realized I didn't internalize a single thing I read. And I had to go all the way back. I was like, and by that time, you're like, I don't want to redo this.
Yeah.
30
I'll
fucking
give this
pages.
a shot next time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it down. We're just gonna call it a loss today. We're just gonna try again later.
Right.
So I love audiobooks, and
Yeah, me
I've had bad ones that have ruined stories for me, but I've had really good ones that have been oh, this is the preferred way to read this.
And as it turns out, one of my old fans / friends, I say fan because we became friends through my music.
He was a fan first, yeah.
Yeah, he, but I like to talk to everybody, so.
No, don't get that from you at all.
He contacted me about a year ago after I published Mortal Descent, and he was like, "Let me do your audiobook." And I was like, "Okay." So he said he wasn't allowed to talk about it at the time, but I mean, everything is since expired and stuff by now. But he was doing some voice work for Destiny, the game, I think, one of the Destiny games.
Yeah.
So he told me that, and
was a fun game.
And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And while he was making it, I also learned how to do audio editing with my podcasts and stuff like that, and just all the stuff I picked up over the years from my music background and stuff. So I kind of know the key important things to go to right away. I was able to pick it up quick. So basically, I'll be able to, he wants to keep working on stuff in the future. He's got that nice deep voice with his narration too.
Right.
And he tries to do the different accents. He does a fantastic Scottish accent. He made the ladies sound fierce in the story. So I'm really proud of it, and I'm proud of the future audiobooks I'm gonna throw together. Like I have a free series called Spirit Animals that I do on my Substack. It's like 3 episodes in. I'm planning a live one shot on our channel, but I'm also doing the audiobook for each episode of that, and my wife is doing the voice of the protagonist, who's like a very young, like little boy, seeing the world for the first time. Right? He's raised by a wolf.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it is, and I'm really proud of that. I actually find a lot of my inspiration floods, I call them. When you kind of like wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, I gotta write something down. Where's the thing? And, like, scribble it on my hand, and then you fall asleep or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me it's my phone, but yeah.
Yeah, usually my phone too. But
stream of consciousness to Sai, and then I hit send and fall back asleep, and Sai's like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was like the thing. I'm like, oh, that wasn't a dream. Oh, wait, what did I say? Like, hold on. I knew I wrote it down for a reason, and I read it, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's why I wrote it down. Oh, okay.
Exactly. I find a lot of those floods of inspiration happen to me lately, just naturally from spirit animals. Like, it's like an invasive thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's kind of where I got these 3 short stories for RK. They were invasive thoughts at one point that I got to write this story. That would be so cool if, I just imagine the Kensington Runestone in like a fantasy world. Oh, let's go. Orcs, let's go. But yeah, it's interesting how the natural floods happen lately for my free Spirit Animals one that's like all ages, and has
very cool.
I'm very much just kind of like coming up with stuff for that, but it's coming out in like an organic way, instinctually. I'm proud of that too. But this is about this.
This is about this. All right, $75 tier.
Yeah, $75 tier.
We're almost done.
Are we still doing tiers?
Yeah.
Yes.
This one is the ColourPop version. So my plan here is it's oversized, so people get the nice oversized art of Luke Stone. Upwards of 100 pages if it comes down to it. And I say ColourPop as in it's going to be desaturated with highlights from me is the plan. Luke might just ask for guidance and do it himself to make sure it looks better, but the original plan right now is to have me go in and do my own coloring. Now on each panel I would choose like one color and just highlight something, and this would just highlight like a lot of the symbolism in the story as
Very
you're reading
cool.
it. Yeah. So like scroll up just a little bit here with this one. Yeah, so for this image here, my first thought here is maybe his eyes would be like the same color as the magic in his hand, and that that's just one example. Just kind of like make that pop out of there, like it already kind of does, but like just like really bring that out and have everything desaturated.
Well, kind of like what you have here,
Yes, actually, that's very close.
where everything
yeah.
is super desaturated, and then you have like, oh, here's a really bright color that you need to see.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes
maybe sometimes it's just like one glowing eye, or like
yeah.
the blood on the axe is just.
I like that kind of stylized looks. The other thing that I see that you get in here, aside from the stickers and the bookmark, you have magnets.
Yes, and coasters and a tarot deck.
Ooh.
And
Whoa,
biography
whoa.
cards. And, yeah.
There's a tarot deck.
I'm considering a T-shirt if we hit 1,000. I'm considering a T-shirt for the highest.
I can help you with that design. Anyway,
Yes.
there's a tarot. Is it a full tarot deck?
It'll be a fully functional tarot deck with all the major arcana.
72 cards.
70. No. The major arcana. So you could
Major.
Still use it.
Okay.
It's enough to be functional, because like 72, I would love to do that actually, and maybe we can release a Saga of Sunsets expansion where I can just go into a lot of cool details, like about, because I ran
Why
out
is
of
your cat all wet?
He's fine.
Mm.
Don't worry about him.
Mm.
He learned a lesson just now. That's what happened.
Yeah,
But yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, maybe, because I ran out of characters with the tarot deck, and ended up using like the ship as a character, and started using very key objects like the crystal, stuff like that. If I did the expansion all 72, I could have a lot of fun. I would have to think of maybe even moments that happen in the story, stuff like that.
Just take them from panels.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun dissecting the entire graphic novel once it's finished, and making posters and shirts and all kinds of stuff. Like,
I am
I'm
addicted
crazy,
to creating merch. So if you need help, let me know. Because I've made a lot.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'll probably hit you up, honestly. I mean, the only reason I don't have the poster right now for the first... I promised the first 50 backers a free poster. But I want the book to be done first before I start making it, so I can have everything there, and I can choose like all the best, coolest moments and make a sweet collage.
Like a collage.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to do that, but I need at least, I don't know, like at least half the book done. More than 15 pages for sure, because, I mean, I brought all these panels a long way, but it's like, I can't help but feel like I need a little bit more before I, like, start saying this is, here's all the best art in the book that I made when it was at 50% or whatever. It's like, it feels better if it's at least like 90% of the book is done first.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I digress.
All right, and then at 100, the King Edition.
Yes.
How is this?
The King Edition is where you're starting to get kind of a little bit of everything I could think of. So you got your digital, you got the ColourPop version, which is the the highest value version thus far. You got your audiobook, you got the poster, I believe, and stickers, magnets, bookmark. Basically, this is the tier that has all the extra goodies without getting into like the bombs like the tarot deck and or like the t-shirt, right? It's like all the extra goodies that I can justify putting in there as possible without breaking the without absolutely like paying you guys to back it, basically. In a sense. But yeah, the beyond that, the $150 tier is the dragon. I call it the dragon edition because not only is there a dragon in the book, but dragons, they hoard their treasure. So this is like where you get everything. Just get it all. It's your dragon hoard edition. This is probably where I put the t-shirt. Yeah.
I think it's the first time I've heard somebody refer to something as a dragon edition because they're hoarding it all, and that is so fucking clever.
You can hoard all the goodies if you get
that. Yes, this is your hoard.
Yes, yes. And of course, I include new things like here's where the coasters come in. So you get and the biography cards. There's an example of the tarot cards right there. So I have as many as I could possibly make with the characters that are in print right now, made and ready to go. So that's what they will look like right there.
Very
handmade,
cool.
Handmade by me. Lots of symbolism on the back of the card and stuff. I turned each character into a different tarot card. The protagonist is the Fool, and I believe the slave character is the World. They all coincide with real tarot cards. So what you could do. Even though I gave them new names, like the protagonist is, instead of the Fool, it's the Hellfist. They all have names that pertain to them in the story and stuff, and I'm depicting scenes going on, taken from the panels. In the protagonist's case right there on top, that's actually two panels mashed together. I photoshopped them out, basically photoshopped them out. I cut him out of one, and I put him with that beautiful winter landscape in the background. So he has a certain smug attitude with a very specific background. So I'm going to put that level of detail into every single one of those. I'm proud of that. My wife is a tarot reader. It was her idea. I was like, you know what? I'm making these biography cards, which are right above them. Those are going to be, full print, just beautiful art on one entire side, and then the back side is going to have, which is showcased in the middle there. It'll just have like who this character is, and this is the one. What's going to make this special over the tarot cards, because the tarot cards are special in their own way. They're functional, right?
Right.
This is going to be special because it not only has information on like your favorite character, but if I can possibly do it, I'm a huge card player. When me and my wife met, I was a blackjack dealer. I played so much Magic the Gathering in my day. When I was a kid, I played Yu-Gi-Oh. When I was a really little kid, I collected Pokemon. Like, you can keep going. I need these to be foiled out if I can help it. I need holographic cards. I need it.
Like, it has to have hollow foil, otherwise it's not a shiny.
I need a shiny.
I need a shiny.
Yes.
I like it.
So for those ones, you can see they're very colorful and vibrant.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick vibrant images for that. And I will update all of these as we go. And of course, the bulk editions for like shops and stuff. Like if you know an LGS,
5 and 5.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah, they can get they can drop $200 and get a bunch of color and paperback and get some free ones on top of it. Essentially, sell it for whatever they want. I don't really care. Match price with whatever else is on the shelf. Make money. I don't care. I encourage you.
All right.
You'd be backing me, and that helps me enough. So
okay, so let's talk about the 2 days to go and 12% funded.
yes,
Because we knew that this was going to be a thing, so we wanted to just make sure that we talked about it before we wrapped. What is going on?
So what happened here is I am new to this, for starters. First and foremost, my own responsibility here. Not deflecting anything here, but I did go really hard on touring people's shows and stuff, which I booked you guys I think months ago, which was when I was in the full swing of setting this all up. Now, for those listening, if you're thinking about doing a campaign, that setup phase should be before launch. But what I did is I set up a launch, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start doing this because it's not about like when, it's about just getting it done.
Right.
In general, making it happen, bringing it to life. So I wasn't thinking too much about it going into it. In hindsight, I would have, and I'm going to do this now once things level out in my life, because that's another part to it, is I've been absorbing as much information as I can get, taking all the criticism, adjusting on the fly. Like this is like the 4th rendition of a trailer. I kept making it better as we went. I lowered the total amount because it did receive some criticism for that. I had shipping and printing included in the total amount, and people are like, this probably is going to be really hard, and it's because they've seen so many other people and like what the average amounts that pull in with like really successful ones, and that amount that I was going for would be one of those really successful ones if it happened, which is a big ask for somebody just beginning, right?
Right.
So I dialed it back to just literally just completing it. This is the cost right here on screen, is the cost to just complete the art in the book. I have the first 15 pages. It's going to be 72 minimum, upwards of 100, depending on splash pages and depending on how well funded it gets, or like how much attention it goes behind it. Whatever happens, what come may, whatever will be type of thing. I'm happy to just like make it a chunker, like 100, 150. Well, no, it wouldn't even make 150, but it could get to like over 100 is all I'm saying, with the source material, with the full length of the story or whatever, the script.
Right.
Because all you have to do is say splash page, boom, next page. You just added a page by making one panel a page. You know what I mean?
So looking at this, basically the long and short of it is, new creator, first time doing this, lots happened, and goal currently not met. So what's the plan going forward, and how are you going to kind of address any of the concerns that any of your backers have?
Well, it's more than just to finish the previous thing. I'll get to that, but there's more to it than just whoopsie, because like it's fine if it's just a little slow and like I didn't plan it, because I can always regroup. Say at this date I'm gonna start. I can line up all these shows in advance, like give myself a month break, whatever. I have total control here as the indie, and as the face of the project. I mean, Luke Stone is definitely attached to it. He's very sentimental about it, right along with me, because it's his beautiful art. Like, I don't blame him. And
He gets that way about his projects. He loves what he does.
I think he believes in the story too, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so family centered. It's so
If he
family-centered.
didn't believe in the story, he wouldn't be working with you.
You don't see Luke draw orcs all the time. And you know what? I gave him the option of all 3 stories from the source material. I was like, do you want the human story? Do you want the orc Vikings that have a flying ship? The human story is like Saving Private Ryan, and or do you want the lizard people story, where it's like
Orcs are clearly
Boudica.
the superior choice in that.
He was like, give me the flying orcs. I was like, deal.
Good choice. Good choice.
But yeah, more importantly, with the thing with the campaign is, if it was just slow, that would be fine, right? It's whatever. But we lost our house, like right when things were getting in. Like I got the first few big shows out of the way. I was right in my full momentum, and we lost our entire house and our livelihood and everything.
Wow.
So that's kind of what gives it the setup here, and why I didn't feel in good conscience it was right to continue booking shows as aggressively as I was, because, not gonna lie, the only reason this show has gone so smoothly is because my son is with grandma right now, and it's just me here with the dogs. They're being very calm too. They could be barking at anything that walks by if they wanted to, or flies by,
Right.
which they do sometimes. So we're actually a little lucky too. But
Right.
like the situation's just not ideal at the moment. And I'm not saying it's going to be a full stop, but I just didn't feel in good conscience that I should continue to keep booking shows as aggressively, at least for starters. And I just kind of dialed it back. I'm just like, it's here. I'm going to still talk about it whenever the opportunity pops up. But until my life situation is stable, and I can kind of regroup and then relaunch another tour and go hard and then draw another, because like I drew most of this in the first month. Because like I said, I basically took a month off when I got evicted, and just did whatever shows I had scheduled, like this one. And so that's actually what I can do in about 1 month. So if I could just do that for another 6 months, right? Once I regroup, now that I have made the connections I've made, I can put a fresh coat of paint on the page, maybe sneak some new art from Luke in there with this money here, and like do a big overhaul and like a soft relaunch, where I can take what I've learned and really apply it for people. And like I said, these 20 are like, just like my Mortal Descent book, these are the people that like believe in me the most. Yeah, there's some new ones from the shows that I've been on and stuff, but like I launched this on A Drink with Crazy's Wednesday, Comic Shop Wednesday, and it won, but I didn't get a single backer. That's just a harsh reality that happens sometimes on some shows. Like,
well, if I'm gonna be honest, right, I think probably one of the biggest issues is, like, I have talked with you over Twitter for
yes.
for a while. It's not like we're brand new, like, oh my god, I just learned about you.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen you on many shows. Now granted, I also don't go around and troll a bunch of the indie shows very often, usually because I just don't have time. But I will say, I think that as far as your name, I don't think that you are a super, super, super well-known person
Right.
in the indie scene. So you understandably taking the time off because that's what you need, and you are a person first, that, you know, you are a person and a father and a husband before all this other stuff.
Well, and it's also best for the project too, because
it It is, because if you're fucked, you're gonna make a fucked project. That's how that works.
Yeah. And things will just be wonky, and it's just better to transparency, regroup. It's still here. It's still open. I'm not closing anything down. I'm still going to talk about it.
I think that getting you out there more frequently where people can hear, because this has been a great conversation. This is one of our longest streams that we've had in a long ass time. And I think that getting you on streams to just show who you are and then be like, by the way, I've got this book. I think that would go a long way as well. Mm-hmm. My biggest question that I know that everyone else is going to have is, if I'm backing you, mm-hmm. when should I expect a book? Because I have a feeling it's going to be at least a year, if not a little longer. Because of needing to get the funding, more life stuff will always creep up. Yeah. Luke is going to need time to do the art. You're going to need time to proof everything. You're probably going to run into an issue with your printer because you're a first-time creator, and that happens almost every time.
I have a printer, Critical Blast. He gave me a great quote.
Which is fantastic. Critical Blast knows what the fuck they're doing.
Dude, he gave me a theme song, too, which is in that trailer right there, I think. And it's amazing.
We're going to get to.
Yeah.
We are. Amazing. It's happening. I swear, guys.
I think that guy's so based. But yeah, anyway.
Are we looking at probably about a year?
It's open-ended, to be honest. This is more. Okay. This is not a storefront. This is a an investment into helping me get this created. So this is truly a crowd fund. This isn't. So this is what people need to think about. Think of when you back something like a new tech on Kickstarter. Yes. You're backing them to be able to do the research, to do the project. It doesn't necessarily, and I'm not saying that with this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the product, because it depends on what happens with all of the production for those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. This is that kind of thing, with the exception of there isn't really a reason that you wouldn't get the product, provided that the funding happens. That's what we need. We just need the funding. I'm not like Stan Lee with some side project, right? That or if Luke Stone himself, he's like, I got this random idea, I'm gonna toss it up there and see, and then if it doesn't work in this amount of time, I guess it's not meant to be. I don't have that kind of pull. I'm more known as a musician and a little bit of a jack of all trades. I have my 20 song discography. I have my full-length novel ready to be just fully gone over and edited. I have my published book, which is multiple separate stories, so you can kind of see what kind of writer I am, and then the comic book based off of one of those stories. I have another one actually on the back burner being done by Mark Hatherley. He's actually been putting out sketches semi-regularly. I told it, the deal with Mark is there's no time limit, but there's actually more of that one done in sketch form than this one. So you could very well see a second comic that is basically already done by the time this one funds. So people could expect a sequel of sorts in the form of a completely new short story. And I'm particularly proud of that one too. That's the human one I told you about. Mark Hatherley chose the Saving Private Ryan one, and he's a veteran. So he's able to capture that really, the facial expressions. Some of his favorite things that he draws is Superman. So my guy kind of looks like Superman, and I don't know. That one's going to be fun. That's coming down the pipeline. But obviously, I would dedicate all resources.
This is the main focus right now.
Yes, this
got
right
it.
now.
Okay.
And Mark understands that. Before I even launched this one, I basically caught up with him monetary wise, and he's just like, listen, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm happy to do it. You know what I mean? Since you don't care about the time limit, you've paid for everything so far. That's all up front. He's happy to keep going, which is why those pages are still coming, because he knows that he's just happy to get the project done.
This is why you make good connections with people, because this is what can happen when someone believes.
I've met artists before. I kind of know how to talk to them. Yeah. And that's for as much as
I can't show you any of mine. They're all covered right now with a gray shirt.
That's fine. But that for as much as I harp on Disney and these other places like Amazon and Netflix doing inaccurate shit, I will be the first one to call them on that. I'm also the first one to give my artist specifically in the form of comics, because it's such an art thing. In the story about a legend, it makes sense to just have it be whatever. You know what I mean? I could have a chibi style one. Why not? Why not? Right? It makes sense, and I like to give him liberties. I was like, just here's my script. If I don't like anything, I'll tell you. And I think the only thing I had to tell anybody was the colorist, because he has a team, so he can make up time by offloading some of the coloring and stuff like that. But for the rest of this project, he insists on he's happy to do all the coloring, which is why I said he might take it from me with the ColourPop version, just to make sure that it's really good. You know what I mean? But I digress.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna get done no matter what. And yeah.
Sai, do you have any other questions?
And
You've had an hour and 36 minutes to think of them.
I mentioned the printing and shipping used to be included in the price, right? So this was upwards to $13K when I was getting that bit of criticism. That was really the main criticism. Everybody else was like, yeah, I mean, a lot of this other stuff looks fine. Luke does great art. Like, this is all great. Somebody suggested the art contest. Boom, living proof right there on the landing page that I'm listening to. I'm very much listening to everybody and trying to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Did you have any other questions, Sai?
No, I actually read through the campaign page while you guys were talking about Vikings. So, no, I'm pretty good.
So,
Awesome.
what Sai is saying is read the campaign page.
Yeah,
Yes.
I try to explain.
I'm also saying
And then
this.
ask questions.
I have no responsibilities here whatsoever.
You're horrible.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any last little bits that you want to let people
Or the
know before
chat?
we wrap up?
Well, like
Yeah,
I said,
and the chat has had their opportunity. If they haven't asked by now, I don't know
Yeah,
what to tell you.
bitches, you've had 90 minutes.
oh yeah, I had
Okay.
oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, like I said, the price used to be of shipping and printing used to be included in
Right.
in the startup. So I mean, I'm willing to just shuck that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people are willing to help me get the thing done, because think about it, if it gets to the digital print point, if the art just gets done, it can go on Amazon and it exists. That is the goal. So why wouldn't I be willing to, since they saved me a ton of money by helping it get created, like kind of how Anvil made it color. This was just
Right.
black and white. Anvil was like, no, bitch, it's color now. Get used to it. And I'm like, okay, I guess the
This
whole
is
thing has to be
happening.
color.
Just lay back
Yeah.
and accept it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
essentially.
Okay.
And
Little aggressive.
that's what the 20 backers on there so far represent, is this is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm willing to like save them money on shipping and just directly pay for the printing. If it only just skims that goal, I don't care. As long as everybody's willing to understand that this is a true startup. You're helping me
So-
start up. I'm not a comic shop. I'm not like Ethan Van Sciver. I'm not ISOM. I know they get a lot of criticism. Or sorry, RIPA, not ISOM. But I know they get a lot of criticism for like timeliness and stuff. I'm not that.
Well, here's the thing. This is really what it boils down to for almost everybody. Timeliness is only an issue when you stop being transparent. When you start saying that people just need to be fucking okay with whatever the fuck you're doing, that's when it becomes a problem. But if you're like, hey, I understand that this is a little bit different than some other campaigns. I understand that this doesn't currently have an end date, and that is scary for some people. I understand that
Right.
some people might lose faith in the project at some point. And you know what? That happens. Message me. Let's talk about it. Let's see what we need to do. Like refunds, those kinds of things. Hey,
Yeah, I'm
look,
open.
I would hate to see you go, but if you decide that you just can't,
Right.
okay.
Fund My Comic obviously keeps track of everybody. I have everybody there. I'm not going to forget about you. I'm going to keep
Right.
in contact with everybody. And I put my email in there multiple times. It's the same email that you submit the art for the art contest to. That's also like the Pritchard Pub email. That's the business email. So, I mean, when business needs to be talked about, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, And
So-
it's gonna get made regardless. Let's say I stumble upon some money that I can throw at something. Why
Nice.
wouldn't I throw it at my own project? You know what I mean?
Well, so I think the biggest thing is that you're very passionate about it.
Yeah.
That is not in question. You have a good direction going forward. That isn't in question. And you are approachable and you are honest. And that goes such a long way in this game. Perfect example. This back here, this little, it's amazing. I love it. I'm sorry, I just unboxed it yesterday, so I have to show people. This is like the coolest little thing ever, right? This was part of a Hammeralla campaign from a very long time ago. I don't remember how long ago. Very long time ago at this point. And Ryan Wynn is fantastic. He messaged me multiple times when that got delayed, when he was trying to start it up again, when it got delayed again. I have forgotten about it. I don't even know how many times. And then I had something like ping in the back of my mind probably 3 or 4 days before I ended up getting this that went, I wonder whatever happened to that little comic book stand thing. And then I ended up getting it and was like, oh my god, that's so funny. Ryan was always in communication with me, and it did arrive, and it didn't just, I'm pretty sure I only backed 1. He sent me 4. So I'm gonna go with, he was very fucking professional and went above and beyond what I expected, so that was fantastic.
Right.
And as long as you can stay communicative, which he did frequently, a lot of things with timing can be forgiven. When you avoid the conversation, I have people that I used to consider very good friends that I back their projects at very high levels, and they started ghosting everyone to include me.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing about their comic, nothing about their campaign, nothing about the thousands upon thousands of dollars that they raised.
I've heard about that. Behind the scenes after these shows that I appeared on, a lot of the comic book guys pulled me aside. Even some of the staunchest critics that were kind of roasting me live after the fact, all of a sudden, so much respect, and they're like, "Listen, I want you to succeed, but this, and this. We've seen a lot of this. This happened one time. You need to do this."
That is exactly why Cy and I do the show that we do, is because we want to make sure that we're trying to help creators get set up for the best, like the most success that you possibly can have. And there's a lot of people who have done it wrong. And we want people to learn from other people's mistakes so they don't just make the same one again. I do not get those hinky vibes from you. I am confident that you are going to do everything you can. I know Luke Stone damn well is not going to have his name associated with something that he doesn't believe in, because Luke is very serious about his brand, his company, his image, as far as like professional image. He is very, very big on that. So the fact that he's partnering with you and believes in this project as much as he does, and I've talked to you and I feel like I know you a lot better, I'm gonna go and say, look, it might be a long wait, but I think it's gonna be worth it. So I think that everyone watching should definitely go and back.
Oh, I promise it'll be worth it. That's why I'm putting so much merch in there. Like, merch is something I understand from my band days. One of the reasons I slowed down on my music was because I started feeling more like a salesman than a musician. I had to always be talking about it. It had to always be on my mind. Plus, I had to always be thinking of new songs. So that had to always be like invasively, and then there's no space for genuine human interaction, which is like why I'm kind of going more towards being an author and stuff, because I can still apply all that stuff that I know, but I don't have to just like go on and on about like my book at Thanksgiving, right? Because I need I don't know, the music stuff was just so different. It felt like I needed everybody to be hooked on what I was selling, you know what I mean? And it started feeling not okay as far as like families goes. But granted, I was younger back then, and we grow. I could probably handle it now, which is why I'm doing music again and just going all at this. Getting married and having a kid will have an effect on you. And like all my eggs are in one basket here, right? It's not like, I mean, if I deleted like my Twitter and the Pritchard Pub YouTube and the Iron Seas, like, I'm involved with so many different things. Like, Anvil's attached to this too. I'm being very transparent. I'm trying to be honest with people. Like, my life fell apart. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying anything in that regard, but like, essentially,
It happens. That's
it's
the
gonna,
thing is
and this is gonna get
knowing
made,
that it,
like,
knowing
no
that it happens and being like, this is still my priority. Despite all this
Yes.
crap that happened, this is still my priority. This
and
is
I
still
didn't
what I'm
complain
working
about
on.
it. You guys, this platform is me officially talking about it. Actually, for the first time publicly, I talked
Wow.
to I talked to my co-hosts. That's why when I mean, I saw the opportunity. I was like, this is the last show I have booked. I was gonna write an article. I probably still will, and I'll send out some emails.
Thank you for trusting us with that. I appreciate that.
I got a little nervous, not gonna lie. I was like, because people can either be like critics or neutral or like an ally, right? An ally is gonna pull you aside after the fact and try to prop you up and make you look as good as possible. A neutral person will just watch as you fall over and go, "Oh, that sucks," you know. And then a critic is gonna actually try to make you look bad. So I got at least neutral at best, and it turns out you guys are actually really easy to talk to, and you have a nice little platform here. So
I'm very glad to hear that.
probably save
All
me a little time. I can just send a link to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Send a link to this. Get everyone to watch it. I do want to thank AC Pritchard for coming and hanging out with us and giving us all the details, the fantastic conversation. This was a very long stream, and I'm going to tell you, it was worth it, so watch the whole damn thing. And I put in big teeth for y'all, so come on. You can do it. Thank you so much to Sai. You have been fantastic, being completely silent.
No, Sai made some good points.
Sai does make very good.
I saw you in the chat.
Oh yeah.
You know, with the Gobekli Tepe stuff, and yeah, you're on point. And you got you're doing great. You're doing great.
Sai is fantastic. I bust their balls because I can.
Not for
thank you guys.
Face, you can't.
Stop it. Thank you so much, everyone.
What, I was gonna say this an hour and 12 minutes ago. Once you get medically cleared, your vagina is gonna be back in a sling when I'm done with it. That's all.
Will you fucking
all right, here we
stop?
go.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Have an absolutely wonderful day. We're going to go out on the trailer and a couple of ads for our channels, but please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. Go check out Valkyrie's Play, sub over there, and if you're feeling up to it and you want to see me do stuff like this more elaborately, go over to Buy Gaslight, also on YouTube, and sub there. We will see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye.
Human heart that stands tall, frozen visage cold as ice. With the evening star he flies through the storm's haunting cries.
Archer of the frozen lands, king's own proud place within his hands. Succession, destiny calls. In the twilight he stands.
Hear the horn sound so clear. Hear the war cry, no regrets. Every fight brings destiny nearer. A saga of sunset. Saga of sunset.
Battlefields of frost and flame, in his slumberous fire and pain. On his path the legends claim the echoes of his name.
Mountain peaks